like the rain from last night, like carried over in a weird way, you know? It's just a weird, dreary morning a little bit. Well, thank you all for coming out to Creative Mornings. I always like to start this way. How many people is this your first Creative Morning? Let's get a show of hands. This is your first Creative Morning. Yeah. Very cool. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. For those that don't know, Creative Mornings is a monthly speaker series that's held all over the world, and this is our local chapter here in Columbia, Missouri. Always features a local speaker that talks on a global theme. So everyone meeting, we'll actually see some groups that are meeting right now, as a matter of fact, is speaking on the global theme of blossom, as you'll see here, which was chosen by funny enough, the Colombia chapter, and illustrated by Edwin Morales. Funny enough, next September is Colombia's theme, which I'm still not announcing. I don't know why I'm not announcing it, but I like to hold the suspense. But next September, be sure to come to the event because the artist will be a local artist here in Columbia, and their art will be seen by over, I think, around 250 chapters around the world. So super cool. So we'll announce the theme soon enough. That was picked by our headquarters. But anyways, so we have a global theme of blossom. I like to read a little bit about this theme to kind of get us in the mood for the day. Remember that flowers don't bloom purely for their own sake. They share their fragrance, attract pollinators, and serve the larger ecosystem. Your creativity needs to pollinate as well. So share your gift. Spread more ideas, more beauty, and more courage. To truly blossom, you must take the risk of opening up. This is your season. You deserve to be seen. Offer your abundance of color to the world. Ask yourself, what within me is ready to blossom? What can I nurture to help others do the same? So, on this blossom theme, and for the handful of you that are new, we do a classic icebreaker to get things going. I feel like everyone's kind of gotten to know each other pretty well during the mingling session, but we're going to get to know each other even better. So, I want to know, how are you blossoming this year? Blossoming. So, we're talking about taking risks, opening up, helping others do the same, right? I like to think as a Creative Mornings host, I'm helping others blossom. I've also blossomed in my time here. This is my last Creative Mornings as a host, and so very bittersweet, but the theme is very fitting because I feel like I've blossomed a lot with this opportunity over the last few years, and so that's how I've blossomed this year, and I guess dating back to like July 2022, but or 2023, I guess. But yeah, how are you all blossoming this year? Here we go. Lisa, you go first.
I'm running a nonprofit for the first time ever. And it's growing like a weed.
Some might say.
Yeah.
Blossom.
Yeah.
Blossom.
It is.
Yeah.
You'll hear all about it next month.
I was gonna say, at least. What? Why did you do that? I was gonna say, next month, Lisa is our speaker. Orange Street Studios. Be there. Learn more about her nonprofit. She's starting all the cool stuff she's doing. Kayla.
I think you might guess what I'm going to say.
I have no idea.
Mike and I are expecting a baby in November. And I feel like throughout this process, we've both blossomed as people, and we will continue to blossom as parents and help our child blossom.
Yeah.
So that feels like a good theme for our year.
Yeah, we've certainly we've blossomed over the last couple months, maybe withered and overall blossoming.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. Let's do one more. Come on. Blossom. Yeah, here we go.
So I'm an artist and I've been bouncing around different mediums, and this year I decided to just test the waters with weaving at Access Arts, and it stuck. And I am now in the deep end, you know, just out there without a life vest, making a whole bunch of new stuff that I didn't envision a year ago.
I was gonna say, based on your content, it seems like you've been doing that for a long time. So yeah, you picked it up quick. Blossomed, as they say, right? So like I said, okay, so it is over 250 chapters. 252 chapters for Creative Mornings. By the way, thank you all for sharing your blossoming stories. Over 70 countries, so many talks online, 15 million video views. Here's just a look at some chapters that are meeting on Friday, September 19th. Again, all over the world. We've got Lisbon on here. Maybe that first one is France. I don't know. We are. Oh, that was Detroit. Here we are. Yay! Oh yeah. We got DC up there, Cleveland. I think we have a couple more pages here. There's a lot of groups meeting today. And again, it's all on the topic of blossom. Bloom where you're accidentally planted. Okay? And then all of these are available, will be available online, similar to our talk, so you can check any of these out that you want. I have to give a shout out to Adobe. They are our global sponsor, so without them, like, we wouldn't have a chapter, and like Creative Mornings wouldn't exist. They offer a ton of resources to Creative Mornings members, which basically, like, if you RSVP to an event, you're a Creative Mornings member, that you can check out. I believe these should be linked in the newsletter we send like twice a month. But if not, you can find them on the Creative Mornings website, and then they also have this apprenticeship program as well that you can check out through Behance. I want to give a shout out to the Mott Mini Gallery where we are located right now. They are incredibly generous for giving us a space, but also just awesome. We don't really have to do much to set up here. They make it very, very easy for us. Obviously part of the Boone County History and Culture Center, which the Heritage Festival is this weekend. So if you find yourself with some time, the weather's supposed to be great. A little rainy, but the weather's supposed to be great. The Heritage Festival is so cool. I promise you will not regret stopping by this weekend for that. So check it out. All right. So like I said, this is it for me. That's not true. This is my last event as Creative Mornings host. It's been such a cool experience, such a great opportunity to meet everyone, such a strong community, and I've loved every minute of it. Honestly, if we weren't having a baby, I'd be a lot less sad, honestly. But I'm like 1,000 times more excited to be a dad. No offense. But yeah, no, it's been great. But you know, just because I'm moving on doesn't actually really mean anything, because we're actually leaving you in great hands. And so I'd like to introduce our new host I'd like to introduce our new host who, over the last few months, I've been having great conversations with about the chapter and where she wants to take it, and she just brings so much warmth and I think relatability that you all are really going to enjoy. And so I am super excited to introduce Sarah Carroll as our new Creative Mornings host.
Good morning. Sorry. Oh, it's so good to see so many people here this morning. I'm really, really excited about this. Creative Mornings holds a very, very special place in my heart, and it's really magical. And if this is your first time to be here, I hope you come back again. And for those that come, please keep coming, because that's what makes this so magical. And if you want to be a part of this incredible team, you should come find me after this event. And I would really love if we had somebody who wanted to be a barista or take my place, because I'm used to standing in the background. That's where I feel comfortable. This is not where I feel comfortable, but I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to do this because this is such an amazing thing.
You're blossoming.
I am blossoming. And I was thinking about that during the icebreaker. I was like, man, I should jump in now and say, this is my time to blossom and do something that But Creative Mornings it's really magical, and we've got to keep it going, and so that's why I'm here. I want to take a moment this morning to talk about our sponsor, Care Cottage Crates. So one of the things about Creative Mornings is that it is a community event, and we need people to help us sponsor the donuts and the coffee and the event spaces. And so Care Cottage Crates sponsored this morning's coffee and donuts. If you got some, you should. It is run by a very, very dear friend of mine, and it is the coolest concept. So we all have people that we love, and we all have very busy lives. And when you have somebody who is going through something, or it's a birthday, or it's an anniversary, or it's whatever occasion it is, and you don't have time to shop for them, but you think about them and you're like, I should put something in the mail, I should put something in the mail. Well, Care Cottage Crates does that for you. You can contact them, and they have something for every single occasion. They use eco-friendly packaging. They do specialty notes. Like, they do it for you. So basically, you contact them and you say, I have somebody very special. It's a birthday. It's an event. It's Valentine's Day for husbands, and they will do it all for you, and they will send the package wrapped and perfectly cared for and presented. So thank you to Care Cottage Crates for sponsoring this month's coffee and donuts. And without further ado, I'm going to bring Kara up here, and she is going to announce our speaker for this month.
Hello. I had the pleasure of meeting Joan a few years ago, and in our conversation, she made an offhand comment that stuck with me. She said that anytime she has some dirt, an extra planter, a bare patch of soil, she just likes to throw some seeds down and see what grows. And I think that's such a beautiful idea, because not just do you have unexpected patches of flowers growing everywhere, but it's a perfect metaphor for what it takes to truly blossom. Taking any chance you have to plant a seed, nurturing it, and then see what it grows into. Joan did that in a big way when she and her husband Greg decided to leave Colorado and plant themselves at her family farm by the Missouri River. She sold the successful financial planning business she had built, and despite having no formal training in farming, they started their own farm called Cultivate Company. Their vision was to raise their own children surrounded by nature, organic food, and hard work, and to share that with their community. They now grow cut flowers, apples, peaches, and pears in sustainable ways, providing locally grown blooms for weddings and events, and offering flower markets, workshops, guided apple picking, and more. Please join me in giving a warm Creative Mornings welcome to Joan Dyer.
That was the best intro ever. I get a copy of that at some point. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's funny, I think I got the very first email or saw it on Facebook whenever this group was started, and I was like, oh, that is the coolest thing, I want to do that. And then obviously, however many years have passed, and I have not made it to one, but now I'm forced to be here because I'm the speaker. So I'm really excited. I finally made it, and hopefully this is the start, because I'm already so intrigued. I wish I could just sit in a circle with everybody and ask everyone what they do, because this is just so cool to hear all of your stories. So yes, I'm Joan with Cultivate Co., and as Kara said, we have a flower and an apple farm. Kara was actually one of my first customers for one of our markets, so it's crazy to think about it. I wonder if it was even back in 2020 when I started doing flower deliveries. Was because I remember dropping off flowers at her house, and I don't do that anymore. You'll learn more about that in the presentation. But it just goes to show that those relationships that you make along the way, you just never know what's going to happen in the future. So let me get this little clicker thing. All right. Okay. So I'm taking this blossom thing to the extreme. We're going through the whole life cycle of a plant, because why not? So I'll tell you first about my farm and our story, and that is the soil of this whole presentation. So to make a plant grow, you have to have really good soil. Usually you go out, you get a soil test, you send it off to the university, you see what amendments you need to add, had a giant garden down in southern Missouri, and I just kind of grew up in it, but I wasn't really part of it. I remember seeing my grandma, shucking the corn and sapping green beans and all the things. It was always there. It just wasn't something that I did all the time. My parents weren't into gardening, so it wasn't really on my mind until later in life. On my dad's side, my grandpa his entire basement was full of plants. He had lights, hanging all around, and plant seed starting and plant growing, even though he was just doing it for fun. But it was so cool that was kind of in my DNA, and I didn't even know it. And so I went to school for financial planning and got a master's in financial planning at Mizzou. I was born and raised here. And then met my husband. We actually met in high school, our senior year. And he's from Denver. So after college, we decided to move to Colorado, and we were in Fort Collins, an amazing place, so cool. And we got to live out our 20s there, which was really fun. And I started a financial planning business called Elder Advocates when we were out there. And so it was basically a daily money management is what we called it. And I went into homes of people who could no longer manage their finances, elderly people with dementia. I was even power of attorney for some of those families. And just got really involved with these people and their whole families, built lots of relationships out there. But that work was very stressful. I was going to court to be named conservator for some of these people, and then you have to submit. It's so much paperwork that you're submitting to the courts all the time, and I just felt like the joy getting sucked out of me. And we need those people, and it actually is like it was a great business and very needed and still needed at the time. But it just wasn't something that was bringing me that spark and that joy. And in the meantime, we bought our first house in Fort Collins, and we had a big backyard. And so my passion was just getting into the garden, and we had chickens. It was back in like 2015, and homesteading was like the big thing. Like, oh, everybody's gonna homestead. We're all gonna have chickens in our own vegetable garden and cut flowers. It's gonna be great. And so we were doing all the things in Colorado, and I had my first son out there. I have 3 boys, and so my first one was born back in 2016. And at that point, obviously those of you who have had children or about to have children, your life totally changes, right? And so your whole outlook on life is like, okay, like I want to be with this baby as much as I possibly can. And I want to do something that allows me to be with this baby all the time. Because when he was born, I had a nanny full time, and I was having to be gone for a long time, and it just wasn't working for how we visioned our life. So when he was 10 months old, we decided to move back to Missouri, knowing that we had this family farm that we could move to and that we could cultivate, that I could create a new business. Because I know how to create businesses, that's what I did back in Colorado, but it could be something totally different and something that I love to do. So this farm was bought in the 1960s by my grandpa, and it's off of Smith Hatchery Road as you're going down to Cooper's Landing. You will see it on the right-hand side if you're going south on Smith Hatchery. You'll see our apple orchard from the road, and you'll see a barn with goats, Great Pyrenees, chickens. We still do the chicken thing. We're just smarter about it now. And so you'll see all of that. Property is ours. It's also owned partly by my parents, and so they live up on the top of the bluff from us, which is really magical. And especially, like, the boys can just run up to Grandma and Grandpa's through the woods. It's literally crosses a creek and up to Grandma's house. So yeah, it's been just a dream, really. We also homeschool, and we're in a homeschool enrichment program, and so if that's of any interest, that's another passion of mine. And so we just got to build this life based on our vision that we really had for us by moving out to the farm. And the interesting thing is that I had no idea what I wanted to farm when we came back here. I was like, okay, we have this land, and it had never been cultivated before. There had been cattle on the farm, and actually I take that back. Back in the early 1900s, this exact spot was cultivated by the original homesteaders on the property. We know that because you can't see it, but like over this little creek is where the homestead was. And so they had a little bridge, you can still see the remnants of the bridge, and they would come over, and this is where they would grow their, whatever they were growing. But we were the first ones to bring that back to the land. So I started out, I was working still for my business when we moved back in 2017. And so I worked for my financial planning business remotely until 2019. That's when we sold it. And I was going to the hatchery. Does anybody know what the hatchery is? Amanda Quick? Yes. So she created this amazing spot. I feel like it was created for me. Honestly, I know it wasn't, but it felt like it. That had childcare and it was a co-working space. So I could just work on my computer. I knew that my son was just right in the room there, and if I need to go in and nurse him, I could, or whatever. And it was amazing. And that's really that whole thing just gave me permission to do what I really wanted to do. They had these sessions called Feedback Welcome, and I presented this whole farm idea. I don't even know what I talked about. It was probably all these crazy things, and they're like, this is great, and then they just get you connected to the people that are gonna help you. So one of the people was, I don't know his name, it was through a bank, but then he got me connected to Adam Saunders, who is with CCUA and knows so many people. So at that point, he really was the one that opened the door to all these different, I was talking to different farmers around the area. I was thinking about starting a co-op because I was like, I don't really know how to grow things, but I can probably sell things. And so I had all these different ideas. And then for the apple orchard side, Adam, he was like, hey, so I have this idea about starting managing people's apple orchards, and I know everything about apples, and I've got this great vision, and I'm part of Wave Cider, and we could sell your apples to there, or we could do these tours, because he's a talker, if you know him. He can just talk about apples all day long. And he's like, we can do tours through your property is so beautiful, we need to get people out here. And so that relationship started, and we planted our first apple trees in 2019, and we've planted about 100 trees every year since. So we have about 600 to 700 apple trees out there. Yeah, there's a lot, and we have over 100 varieties of apples, which is crazy, I know. So you should come out to one of our tours so you can see. Those will run through October. But yeah, just to give a little plug for that, Adam takes you through the whole orchard. It's about an hour and a half long. You get to taste 10 to 15 different apple varieties, which is really fun. It's great for kids. They can just run around, or they can stand and listen, and there's snacks the whole time. And yeah, it's been a great partnership, and I'll talk more about that partnership and collaborating as being a big growth point for us. And then kind of at the same time, so in 2019 I also had another baby, so that's fun to start a business and have a baby all at the same time. But I also decided, so I read this cut flower book, and if anybody loves flowers, just read this book, Floret. I think it's just called Cut Flowers by Erin Benzaking. And I was like, this is really cool. You can grow flowers and sell them and make money and just make flowers all day. It's a lot harder than that. But yeah, so after reading that book, I took her every single method, and I just put together this practice cut flower garden down in this field. It was probably the size of, I don't know, I can't reach, but just a little square, it was 20 by 60, I think is what it was. And so I just tried it. I was like, okay, this is gonna be my practice year. I just had a baby, I can't do anything else. So I just, did all the different annuals and tried and failed. I think only half of the stuff grew. And then, I don't know how I got in touch with her either, but I met Emily with Sugarberry Blooms. So she's an passionate about local flowers. So that really was that relationship started everything for us, and her connection and her mentorship. Having somebody that knew what they were doing and knew what florists wanted was really huge for us. So that's kind of where, I don't know, I probably went into the next slide, but we'll see. We have the seed. So then we have the seed. So you have your beginning. You have this tiny little seed that you can't even believe that you're gonna get, 6-foot tall plant out of. And as long as you water it and get sunlight and you have all the right growing conditions, it can blossom into something amazing, right? And so our seed was me just starting, just trying it. Just go for it. Go for that small cutting garden. Keep talking to people. I think that's the biggest thing, is that communication, that relationship building was where everything started. And like I said, it started so small. Like I was having babies, like I had another baby in 2021. So at that point, you can't do more than you can do. And I think I succumbed to that. Like I was a workaholic before having kids, and I loved working all the time. It was great. I still love working. But it makes you slow down. And I was like, okay, this business is gonna grow really slow because it has to, because I can't do any other way. And so it really made me prioritize exactly what was gonna make me the most bang for my buck. Like what can I do in this moment? And I think that's the biggest thing about becoming a mother or father is you learn to prioritize so well, and it's a huge asset with having a business. So yes, back in 2019, started the cutting flower garden. Let me see my next slide is. Yeah, so as we're going, so we're cultivating the soil, right? So you might have to till it, to aerate it. We might have to add some amendments into the soil. We might have to use a broad fork to break up the weeds. We might have to hoe it to get the weeds out. And so this whole time, I believe that building relationships was that cultivation for our business. Like I said, Emily with Sugarberry was where we started, Adam Saunders, and then just continuing to collaborate and to build these relationships with florists. At one point we were working with, I would say in the early years it was about 3 regular florists. Now we have between 10 to 15 florists that we're working with during the busy seasons. And so it just takes that time, and in the off seasons, sitting down with coffee with them and just discussing what are their needs. And as you'll learn in a little bit, building relationships with other farmers and other people who do the same thing that I do, but then creating something even bigger. So that's a little foreshadowing in the future. I think this is important too. So, to grow your plant, you need water, sunlight, fertilizer, and that's just the everyday stuff. So it's the practice. So even though I'm failing a ton, all of us know that, right? That are business owners or creative people, you mess up a lot, and then you succeed a little bit, and you just keep building on that, and you keep perfecting your practice. That first cut flower book that I read, it told me to grow in all these different ways, and this is how you do it, but now I grow in a completely different way. She wanted me to grow in weed fabric, and she wanted all this plastic netting everywhere, and I was like, oh, this is just, at the end of the season, it's tangled all over me, and I'm just tired and done, and no, this is not the way that I wanna farm. And so you come up with your own methods, and you decide to use hay that's on your property, because we have an abundance of it, and we can just roll it out and put our plants in there, and that helps the soil more. And so you're just doing the hard work, and you're figuring it out, trial and error, and eventually you figure out your way, but then you're constantly tweaking. Every year I change something about the way I do things. And this year we got our very first high tunnel, which is a really big deal. It's a diamond ring for me. But it's because you can grow flowers so amazing. They're so tall. Like everything you grow is taller than me, and they're such good quality because they're not getting the the winds, and the rain is not hitting them. So your flowers just thrive in a high tunnel. And I already want another one. I'm there. I'm almost there. But yeah, and then you figure that out. I'm like, I don't know how to grow in a tunnel, and I had weeds as tall as me in there. And thankfully, I have a high school kid that can come out and I'm like, this is your job, and he just pulls all those giant weeds out. But yeah, you just keep figuring it out, and you don't get sad. You maybe get a little sad if you fail, but just keep going and pushing and planting more and failing more, because you will eventually figure something out. Okay, I like this part. Okay, you've got your plants growing, and maybe you even have some blossoms happening, right? But then, when your plant starts to die, or some of the blooms start to die, you have to deadhead them. So, even in perennials, but a lot in zinnias are cut and come again flowers. So you need to constantly be chopping off those dead flowers so your plant will throw up new blooms. Celosia is another one, things like that. So with your business, you're constantly going through and you're assessing what's working and what's not working, right? So with ours, like I was saying in the beginning with Kara, I was making flower deliveries every week, and I was running all over town, and it was good. I feel like every step, there's a purpose, right? Because you learn, and then you decide if you want to deadhead it or not. And so I deadheaded the deliveries 2 years ago because that just didn't feel like the best use of my time, running flowers around town. The other thing we did is we had a members market, which I changed the name to Flower Club because I wanted to change it up a little bit. And instead of having an every week market where people could come out to the farm and grab flowers when they wanted to, it's once a month now. And I get way better attendance. And I also alternate. So once a month they come down to the flower field and they get to pick out flowers. But then the other month they get to go to the farm stand and grab a bouquet of flowers. And that just helped me with my time, having weekends free. Like I said, my priority is my family. And so I will always figure out a way to put my business around that and make it work for me. The other thing we deadheaded was having flowers in our farm stand all the time for people to come and grab. And that was because it couldn't predict how many people were going to stop by and grab them. And I know it made some of our neighbors and different people around us sad, our regulars, but I was like, you can join the flower club and come out, grab your bouquet once a month or come down to the flower field. So I now try to make the flower club time more special and put more into it. It's better for me, and I think it's better for them too. So yes, remove what isn't working or bringing you joy. Okay, so this is a big one. Our business really started to take off probably 2 years ago, so that was about 5 years in, because this is our 7th growing season. And one of the collaborations we started was with Eliane with Bots Blooms. She's a young floral designer who used to work for Emily with Sugarberry Blooms. And she was wanting to go out and do weddings on her own. And I wanted to do weddings because there was nobody doing weddings with 100% local flowers. And I was like, we could do this, we could have this little niche, and this would be our thing. And the brides have to be very flexible because it's local flowers, and they can have a color palette, but you don't get to pick like a peony in September. Like you have to have whatever's growing and seasonal. And it is a special kind of person, but it has just worked out way better than I could ever imagine. We have 3 weddings in the next 2 weeks, so we're in the midst of the crazy fall wedding season. We had 7 weddings in the spring, so it's yeah, it's amazing, how just collaborating with somebody and bringing in this other service that I could have never done on my own, because I'm not, I like to play with flowers, but then it gets me tired, and then it's just a lot of stress, you know, to have to do something for a wedding, like that's a big deal. And Eliane knew how to do all that. She'd been trained, she went to, floral designs at Mizzou, so she had all that background, and she was young, and she didn't have like a client base built up. So having the clients flowing in from our flower business, and then her being able to just step in and work, she gets a percentage of the total budget that we do, so she's not like, you know, I'm not like, oh, you're working too long, you know, it's just a really good partnership for us, to bring her on and do all the weddings. This was also on the right, was it was a, what's it called? A style shoot. And so, Eliane was the designer. We had a wedding planner come out, and she like planned all of the, like worked with A1, and they brought all the pretty plates and silverware and tablecloths and chairs, and she planned it all. And then we all at the end, and then we had a photographer come, and so this is actually in the flower field. You can kind of see it behind, but there's a row of flowers, and all of those are local. Everything on there is local. But yeah, so they set this up, took a bunch of pictures, and then we got to all share it to our social media. And now we have all these really amazing pictures that we can share and show people how local flowers will look at your wedding. And so that was another great collaboration. And then the most important collaboration right now is the Missouri Flower Exchange. So this is my blossoming moment. Which is, we're like a really slow flower that's blossomed, because so back in 2022, Emily Sugarberry, she's like, hey, I heard of this flower exchange down in Springfield. And it's a bunch of farmers, and they get together and they sell wholesale to other local florists. And so she's like, have you ever thought about that? You know, I'd love to just be able to shop in one spot and get all these different flowers. I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like, I'm all about collaborating and working together with people. And so I go down to Springfield, and I walk into this beautiful barn space, and they've got a table filled with local flowers, just like over the top, brimming. It was amazing. And then it's run by the three most lovely ladies that you'll ever meet. I don't even, they're angels. And they are just all about community and all about spreading this. And so I was like, oh my gosh. In that first meeting, they asked me if I wanted to be part of this and like start a Columbia branch. I was like, what? This is not real. This is so cool. So then there was me. And then I was like, okay, now I have to recruit other farmers to this thing that they're like, hey, like, and they have to, you know, percent of the sales goes back to the collective, because there's administrative and all the things. So I had to convince farmers to sell their flowers for less and like hang out with me, and like don't think about the competition, like we're all doing this together. And so it was a little bit of a change of mindset for some farmers. But after the first year, so there was only three of us? This is our first year. Yeah, it was just me, Jill, up in, I don't know, she's north. She's like an hour and a half, close to Kirksville. And then with Titus Creek. And then Emily with Three Creeks Farm and Forest. So the three of us, and then the other girls are the Springfield ladies. And so the three of us, we were like, okay. That's the only people, we had a meeting. Like I had 10 to 12 farmers, and I was like, we're gonna do this thing, it's gonna be great. And they had all these questions, and I was like, no, just trust me. And so that's why there's only three of us. But after the first year, and everybody saw, like, you know, we all brought our florists to the table. So like Emily was working with some, I was working with some, Jill had some, and And so now we all, like, we have this bigger, customer pool to sell our flowers to. And so after that first year, it was working. You're just like, okay, this works. We're too small right now because we don't have enough product to supply everything. So at that point, I like really got my recruiting boots on, and I got 6 more farmers to join up with us. So we had 9 farms in our collective for mid-Missouri. Like I said, we sell to about 10 to 15 florists a week during the busy season. There's still a lot more. If anybody knows any of the Columbia florists and would like to get me, I've been in there several times, but there's so much potential in this area that we haven't even barely got into the local flowers, into this whole scene. But yeah, so there's 9 farmers in our collective, and we are growing more and more every year. We are planning to hopefully grow more in the spring and in the fall, which is the most important times for all of our weddings and events. And yeah, we just, as you can see, like, we're so cute in our overalls. Like, we did this whole, you should go onto our Instagram is like, it's really long. It's like Mo Flower Exchange, mid-Mo, or something like that. But you should go onto it and look at one of the reels. You know the Full House theme song? Yeah, and we were all in the flower field, like, doing these really cute things. So yeah, we have a lot of fun, but the most important thing is for us to all grow our businesses, and we're doing that. So that's been really exciting to see. Okay, and one other area that I'm blossoming and I'm really passionate about is our native flowers. So we got a grant from the federal government. It's a SARE grant, and we did this all before all the grants were slashed, thankfully. And so it allowed us to purchase native flowers to trial as cut flowers. And then we're going to create this big guidebook for how to use native flowers as cut flowers, and like, what's the cut stage, how should you store them, what kind of solution do you need to use, all the different things. So that's myself and Emily with 3 Creeks Produce and Farm. She's really the brain, like, she is so smart. If any of you know her, oh my gosh, like, she creates these apps and I enter in my data, and like, she is just amazing. And so knowledgeable and so willing to share her knowledge. So yeah, her and I went on this together, and we got to basically get all these flowers for free and plant them and study them. And I'm like taking pictures of bugs to put, these are the kind of bugs that are around. But it has just opened up my world and also made my business better, because I didn't realize how much I would rely on perennials throughout the season. Now I am planting more and more perennials every year because it makes my business more sustainable. Annuals you have to plant every season, and you have to plant them multiple times a season if you want multiple successions. Perennials, they're there every year, and all you have to do is weed, add a little more mulch, but they're very reliable, especially the natives. And now I'm focusing on just perennials in the spring and in the fall so that I can beef up my supply during those really busy times. So some of my favorites, so Solidago is on the left, which you can see a new variety in this one. This is Solidago here, and it just started to bloom. And then this is Dahlias. We love Dahlias. And then Mahogany Splendor. But that's going to CCUA for the hoop manning auctions that go on out, and if you like it, you can buy there. And then we've got, I can't remember this variety, but it's Phlox, is the purplish pink, and that's one of my favorites. So buy Phlox. This one is a tall, you want a hybrid tall variety. The little Phlox, you see in the landscaping, but for cut flowers, you want the tall ones. And then Rudbeckia, of course, the black-eyed Susans, everybody loves those. Penstemon has been really great in the spring because I'm not good at growing snapdragons, and these bloom at about the exact same time as snapdragons bloom. So it's that perfect spike flower. Zizia is a great foliage and has really cute seed pods after it blooms, and all the other pretty flowers. So Liatris, Veronica, yarrow is so fun, all the colors. So I highly recommend, super easy to grow. Amzonia is another one that I grew, and I don't think you realize it, but there's a lot of weddings and events that want blue in it now. Like everybody wants blue. They want that hint, the little touch of blue, and it grows. Grows right when the peonies are growing. So those ones pop up at the perfect time, and I use every single stem. And Baptisia is this one. It's a really bad picture, but it's that spike flower, and it's always blooms for Mother's Day, so you can add it in those Mother's Day bouquets. Coreopsis, river oats, and then more phlox, because it's just amazing. So yes, that is my blossoming presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions about flowers or the business or anything like that. Yeah.
So given your background, like financial background, can you give us just like this might be a little question, just like a rough idea of like the financials of being a farmer, like what kind of goes into being like, all right, I need to plant, so I assume it's like, I need to plant this much stuff, I'll make this much money basically. But can you kind of shed light on that?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So, if you get into farming, it takes a lot longer to make a profit. There's a lot of overhead, like we had to build a barn. Thankfully, we already had tractors and equipment, and so that was not an expense that we had. The apples, yeah, it's taken us a lot longer than I expected we're still not in the positive. But I think you just have to give yourself more time with farming and realize that it's not gonna be like, oh, next year I'll make money. It's like, no, you're gonna fail a lot, you're gonna spend a lot of money. But now, honestly, this year is the first year that I'm seeing a profit for our flowers. So you just have to, it's that like water, fertilizer, sun, like just stick with it. And if, you have to plan for that, obviously. If you know that you're not gonna make money for 7 years, that's a long time to wait. So, but yeah, for me, it is, now it's all, thankfully we're having weddings have really helped. Those are our highest profit, have our highest profit of any product that we do. And so it helps me to plan, and I also get those deposits like a year before, so then I'm buying my plants based on the weddings that I see for next year. And with perennials, we're still in the investment stage of adding more perennials, so that's gonna take a little more time to recoup. But again, after that first year, your labor costs go down. So I'm already seeing way less labor costs this year than previous years. So yeah, it's just, I think having something like weddings or like our flower club, I sell those memberships in the winter too, so that then I can use that money to buy seeds and plants and then sell them throughout the season. So cash flow is interesting. Yeah.
Hi. Do you do anything throughout the winter? It sounds you have different revenue streams. Do you do anything throughout the winter?
Yeah, so we do amaryllis for Christmas time, and that is all on a pre-order basis. And so usually we'll open up to Flower Club members first, and I don't do a ton, just enough so that I can like buy a lot of them and get the discount, because I give a lot of amaryllis out. But yeah, so the amaryllis we sell around Christmas time. So those are
Selling the
blooming.
bulb, or do you
So
grow 'em
I
and sell 'em?
start them, so they're, by the time you get them around Christmas, they're almost about to bloom. So that's kind of a fun, but other than that, no, besides just selling the Flower Club memberships, like I try to get people like, oh, buy this gift certificate for Christmas for your loved one, for your nature loving person. And so yeah, that's our only winter revenue. Yeah.
Do you have employees? You mentioned something about having a high school student come and pull the weeds for you, but do you have a whole set of employees?
So Adam Saunders is contracted with us for the orchard, and he sometimes has people come out with him to help with like big things like pruning or spraying. And we only spray good chemicals, not bad chemicals, you know. And then for my flower field, I have one steady person. Her name's Angie, and she has been with me since 2020. And it was basically, she was one of my flower club members, and I was like, I'm pregnant, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And she's like, I'll come help you. My kids are, they're fine. Like they'll go to school, and I can come help you. So yeah, so she comes out every week, and she's more like a harvesting person. Like she knows all the things now about flowers, so she can go out and help me harvest orders. She can plant, start seeds. And then I leave most of the weeding to the high school kids, or like we've had two nephews stay with us over summers, and that's their job. But we need consistent help with weeding and all the things really. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out and giving us this incredible lecture. That was really, really cool. So this is what Creative Mornings is like. If this was your first one, you got a really good one, but this is what it's like. And I hope that all of you take this magic and this energy out into the world, out into your lives, out into your businesses that you're trying to start or that you're already running, So thank you.